Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Cruising down the street in my 6'4". Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Boss Babe Beauty, good morning. Alex Chavez, Dorian, Kurt, Only God. Good morning, everybody. Rush Impact Auto, good morning. See who else we got. Parsons 1969, this is the tip from the whip. Emilio, YouTube Diva, Elise, Josh Garner, Patty, How's Sam, who's Sam? Good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? It is, what day is today? Tuesday morning. My name is @JaredGlant. This is the tip from the whip. I work for a guy named Grant Cardone. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's pretty much the #1 sales expert in the world. All over social media, you may have heard about him. And I'm his vice president. I co-host a show with him on Thursdays called Young Hustlers. It's a show about millennials on what you can do to get ahead, some shortcuts, some success hacks, if you will, from a guy that's worth a lot of money, man. So I come on every morning and I do a quick little tip so that you can get a little inside info on what we do on a daily basis to be successful. So if you know some hustlers out there, if you know some people out there that you'd like to see this information, if you'd like to share this morning scope with somebody, I'd appreciate it. So just swipe right and share. Swipe up if you're on an Android, do that whole deal. Invite some followers, get some people on here. So, all right, so my tip from the whip today is about growing a pair on your pitch. Thank you for everybody that's sharing. Josh, Boss Babe, Chad, thanks guys, I appreciate that. It's about growing a pair on your pitch. See, one of the things that people struggle with is when they get into the point where they're actually presenting their product to somebody, sometimes we know the right thing to do, but we don't do it, I guess you could say that really about any part of life, but particularly in a pitch, you're nervous, you're talking to the guy that can make the decision, you're all nervous anyways. Some people feel a little less confident than others, but that's a whole nother subject. But one of the quickest things that you can do to actually gain altitude in the call, and what we mean by altitude is actually get to the point where somebody's listening to you as an authority, is we ask a few questions, and these are questions that to somebody who isn't conditioned to asking them, they could be a little uncomfortable. I know when we started doing this with our sales team, man, it took people, they're like, you want me to do what? You want me to say what? Now? This early? I don't even know anything about the guy. So I got 3 things for you today. 3 things for you that I know will help you out on your pitch. Your customers will actually respect you more if you can nail these things. The first thing, and this is probably one that's going to take some getting used to, because most people that you talk to in business will probably tell you that this is the wrong thing to do, and it sure does feel awkward until you get used to it. But the very first thing that you should do on every presentation is you should tell people how much money it's going to cost up front. And I know that may sound, just like way out in left field, but what that does is it actually allows people in your presentation, to make sense of what you're charging on their own, right? The best way to sell somebody is for them to close themselves. And by doing that, you actually put the seed in their head of what the program's going to cost, what the product is going to cost, what the service is going to cost. And you'll have to deal with some objections right at the beginning, but as long as you're scripted and you can you're training on those, you'll be able to handle them. Like for example, we tell people, hey, the program I'm about to show you today, John, is a $65,000 program. It's going to cover you for 3 years. And the reason I'm telling you that now is because I want you, as we go through the call, to be able to start making sense of that, because that's something only you can do. I can't really do that for you. And you probably get an objection like, wow, that's a lot of money. Hey, I completely understand, sir. Most people at this point of the call said the same thing before. We've got clients on the program that pay as little as, $5.95 a month. It really just depends on your specific needs. So what I'd like to do is just go through the program, show it to you, and then at the end, you can make the decision if it makes sense for you to move forward or not. So, but what that'll do, first of all, it'll take the big price hammer out of the call, right? So you're not going to be thinking about building through the call and you're like, oh man, I got to go to the price now. Everybody asked it. Everybody's been on that pitch if you sell, where you get to the end of the call and then the customer actually says, all right, how much is it? Go ahead, drop the bomb on me. And now they've had all the build up and they've been in complete mystery about the price. And then so when you drop the price on them, no matter what they say, no matter what you say, it's going to be too much, right? So by setting that precedent up front, not only is it going to take a lot of pressure off of you in the presentation, but it's actually that it's going to take pressure off of the buyer as well. I've literally had people that stopped me and said, hey, I just want to stop you right now. I want to thank you for doing that. That's the first time in my career that anybody's ever told me the price up front. I really appreciate the fact that you respect my time enough to do that. So it can totally work for you. You will have people that will object right away. That's actually a good thing. Objections, a person without an objections, we always used to call them, isn't a real buyer. So, it's a good thing. So you just got to drill it, right? And then be ready to handle the price objection up front. So you don't think they'll shut down and not hear the rest of the presentation? No, not if you can effectively handle the issue. I mean, we got $20 programs. Sir, if this program isn't right for you, I got programs for $20 that'll help you and your people. So we really have something for every budget. What I'm going to show you right now just happens to be our most popular solution that we know delivers the most ROI. So tip 1, bring the money up front. Tip 2, trial close frequently. These are things, again, that puts you in a position of altitude in the conversation. Have you seen enough money? Have you seen enough to make sense of the money? Have you seen enough to make a decision? Have you seen enough to give me your okay? On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being you're ready to go, 1 being you wouldn't take it if it was free, where you at right now. All those types of things during the call are great for giving you the appearance in the buyer's mind that you're confident about what you're doing, confident enough that you can actually ask that question. But B, it's going to be a great thermometer for you to find out really where you're at in the deal. And some people will stop you. Some people will stop you and just say, hey, yeah, I actually have seen enough. I've got what I need. What do we need to do to get started? So great tip. Have you seen enough to make sense of the money? Have you seen enough to make a decision? Have you seen enough to give this your okay? Those are all great questions. What do you like about what you've seen or heard so far? Another great question early in the presentation. And then the last thing, and this is something that actually takes a lot of time, and it could be an entire scope all of its own, but asking questions that actually bring you closer to a sale. If you don't know what questions to ask, if you don't know how to set people up, sometimes asking questions is like chess, right? You've got to ask 2 questions to ask the one question that you want to ask, right? You have your setup questions. And a lot of times what happens in presentations is particularly if you don't know the point that you're trying to make, you start asking random questions that really don't have anything to do with bringing you closer to a deal or closer to a point. So you need to be thoughtful about where you're taking somebody. And this takes some time, right? Like in our product, we have, we sell sales training, right? So as you're asking people questions, right, we're trying to figure out really what their hot button is. In most cases, people are going to buy your product or service for 1 or 2 things, not the 50 that it can do for them. So it's really about asking questions that can help kind of identify what that problem is. And then here's the big one, getting them to quantify what that actually costs them, right? So that's how people are going to start making sense of money. So at the beginning of the call, I say, hey, the program's $65,000 for 3 years. And then throughout the presentation, the customer reveals to me that, hey, one of our biggest problems is getting people to show up for appointments. Hey, I understand a lot of people I talk to have expressed that same concern. Let me ask you, what do you think that no-shows on appointments cost you on a monthly basis? How many deals do you think that costs you? Or, my people can't close a deal. What do you think that costs you on a monthly basis? If you had to guess, oh man, I have no idea. If you did know, what would it be? Really trying to dig down. We can't get people that stay longer than 6 months. Well, I know for sure that if people don't stay longer than 6 months, it costs an employer at least $25,000. So you want to move towards getting questions that actually set a point up that's like really strong and it's solidified with quantifiable information. So those are the 3 tips today, all right? So number 1, drop the money up front. Number 2, trial close frequently throughout the call. And number 3, ask the hard questions. Ask setup questions. Ask questions that get you to a point, right? Sometimes I'll hear Grant on a call and he'll ask questions. I'm like, ooh, man, that was a tough question. I don't know if I could have asked that. So chances are, if there's a question you feel like asking, you should ask it. And you'll know when you get there. So I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, I try to answer as many questions as I can there. You can follow me on Twitter at Jared Glant. You can hook up with me on LinkedIn. You can hook up with me on Facebook. You can hook up with me on Instagram at Jared Glant. Love to help you get some wins. I love hearing success stories of people, and man, that's what we're here for. We're here to help people out. So I appreciate the comments about the hair. Appreciate the comments about my chick. I know she's smoking hot. Come on, man. And she's awesome, too. She's a great person. So, all right, guys. I really appreciate your time this morning. Have a great Tuesday. And we'll see you in the morning.